You own the publishing rights to your music.
That is correct.
Had to be a big part of the foundation of your business success.
Absolutely.
Because that's not the case with every artist.
No, here's what happens. I want to say this, what I did and in defense of artists. So I'm going to start with defensive artists. You come into town, you're an artist, you're vulnerable, you're excited. They give you a limousine ride. You're like, this is the greatest day of my life. So all of a sudden, you write a couple great songs. Everyone's wanting them. And you immediately, if you're not careful, can sign your life away. Not because you're stupid, but because you just don't simply know what you're doing. I was blessed to be around streetwise people like Bobby and Ricky and Cece in my band. And we would look at these contracts and I didn't know what I was reading. But I'm like, this doesn't sound right. We're getting paid a penny for every 36 million records sold. 36 million records and we get a dime. I'm pretty sure we can do better than this, right? So we bet on ourselves.
Every rose has its thorn. You wrote about heartbreak on the road.
Right.
It surprises me almost to the point of shock, that you actually got your heart broken.
Right.
On the road.
We're playing Texas, great place for country, great place for rock. And I convinced the band to play at a then, let's call it a honky-tonk, but then kind of a country bar. I would say out of a place that probably held 1,000, there's probably a couple hundred people. We get done, pack up our stuff, and went back to a motel, made a payphone call, and in the middle of that conversation was not only my girlfriend's voice, but I could hear someone else's voice in the background. I'm like,
so you're on the road in Texas and you're calling your girlfriend and it becomes apparent to you that she is not alone.
That is correct. I can say this for anyone that's had their heart broken. It's much more than a heartbreak. There's almost this feeling in your gut that it trickles out almost like a feeling like you want to throw up. That is literally the night I sat down with the acoustic and wrote Every Rose Has Its Thorn. And I'm not saying I haven't had my heart punched a few times before, but this was my first, what you thought was a true love affair. And then I called back and no one answered, and that is the worst moment in your life. It's horrible.
Unbroken. You wrote this with your daughter, Georgia, when she was 13 years old at the time.
Yep.
Talk to me about what you think the message of the song is, what the song's about, and how it came about.
When I was writing a song with my youngest daughter, Georgia Blue, she was going through a tough time with social media. People call it bullying. I call it cowards. If you want to be a person, I'm saying for me, you talk it out, you get face to face and you figure it out. So anyway, she's going through a tough time. She has best friends, don't get me wrong, that are great, and then a few that just stir the pot, and she was feeling pretty upset. And we sit down and we wrote this song together, not about being a victim. It was about being hurt and facing adversity and being stronger than our storm. That's what both of us called it. How do we become stronger than the storm that's around us right now? And we wrote a song called Unbroken. You can, like I said, it's the fight inside of me. And that's, the faith to believe.
The song Something to Believe In, which you use frequently as a closer.
Absolutely.
How did it come about?
Something to Believe In is, came about for me when my best friend, Chemo, passed away. And, sorry.
Okay, take your time.
I'm great. So my best friend Chemo passed away, and that song saved my life. He was my... Can you guys excuse me 1 second? Is it right if I can help him?
You feel what you feel.
Absolutely. I lost my best friend, and that's what started the song. So it happened right before Christmas Eve, right? And went through Christmas, and I'd been on the road every day with this guy. Chemo was my best bud, and you form these relationships on the road that are the bonds of what people say what bonds you is shared moments, right? And we shared so many moments of ups and downs and parties going through his ups and downs in his life. But you go through this stuff, and I say to this, like Something to Believe In, I talk about my dad. I'm the son of a veteran. My cousin Bobby came back from Vietnam, a Marine, 2 Purple Hearts. Just so thankful for their freedom. But what I think makes a good artist is, first of all, vulnerability. But there's also something, Dan, I've never talked much about. You talk about sometime It may not always be what's inside of me this amazing positivity and this juxtaposition, which is anger, right? That go like this. But there's also a sadness. There's sometimes a sadness that I've chosen to be positive over from the diabetes. In other words, I chose not to be a victim.
First of all, I'll go into the past
Right.
and jump to the future.
Sure.
There was a period in your life, you referred to it any number of times through here, when you were living literally the sex, drug, and rock and roll life.
Absolutely.
And then you become the father of 2 daughters.
Right.
How often did you think, wish I hadn't done some of that?
Here's what it is. Let's go back to the beginning, right? I say this so people can completely relate to it that may have not been in a band. You look at people going to college. They're partying, frat parties, this crazy, I'm talking about from 18 to 24, whatever the party period is. When you're first hitting and everything is around you, I get on the road and it's a Tuesday night, we're at the Ritz. We're drinking with some fans, they're having a great time. They came to the show to see this. This is what they think Poison is. So I'm having a good time. A few drinks, I go, okay, great. Next day, it's Wednesday and we're in, not Dallas anymore, we're in Houston. Those fans want to party. So I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna have one drink. Boom. This goes on through my career, especially in the early part. And I know I'm diabetic, so I've done something. I've surrounded myself with good people that know if I'm having a really low blood sugar or high blood sugar, notice this, help me out, right? And it's dangerous because when you're having a low blood sugar, it's a lot like being drunk. It's the same feeling, so it can become life-threatening real quick.
Did you have a so-called aha moment when you said, wait a minute, if I don't stop what I'm doing,
right,
then my chances of living my dream are diminished quite a bit?
I absolutely had several aha moments. My first biggest aha moment came after I'd had a horrific car wreck. Luckily, the only person that got hurt in that car wreck was me. So my first aha moment was thanking God I didn't injure anyone but myself, right? And in that aha moment, they discovered that my liver had swelled up from the drinking. So my second big aha moment, second big one, so I'm in San Antonio, Texas. I have an emergency appendectomy done, right? I come back here that night. I'm sitting down in my house, and I'm watching baseball and some other stuff. And the next thing I know, I have a massive brain hemorrhage. I couldn't, in a billion years, if you said, Bret, you want to bet on something that will happen to you in your life, I wouldn't have put a penny on that. And my brain blew up. A subarachnoid hemorrhage, base stem in my brain. I knew I was in trouble. I didn't know if someone shot me, broke into the house. I'm watching TV and it made this thunderclap sound. And that's what it sounded like. Something broke inside it. Like it just went bam, and the mouth drooped, the everything that, like I said, but my adrenaline kicked in. And part of being diabetic saved my life because I know how to stay calm in bad situations. I'm good in a firefight, so to speak. And we got to the hospital and it was the most insane words I'd ever heard. Everything's going on around me, and you hear in the distance, if you have kids, I would bring them down here. And I'm not gonna lose it again, but it is, at that moment, it was fight or flight, and I chose fight. I said, no, I'm not going out like this. And then the next thing, I woke up about 2.5 or 3 days later at Barrows Hospital, and I woke up to someone massaging my legs. They're like moving your legs so you don't get another blood. I'm like, is this heaven? What's happening right now? This is not how I pictured heaven to be, if it was heaven I was going to, which I hope it is. But that was my aha moment in my second time around, and that really, really helped me to just be grateful for everything. And when the party creeps up, learn how to control it.